All right, what's up? Welcome to How to Mix a Song from Scratch. So, if you know, I'm going to assume that you know a little bit about mixing already or making songs, producing, whatever. If you don't, I suggest you take the one man band course first and then go to this, as this is going to be a bit more advanced. So, in this, I'm going to show you how I take a raw song that's not mixed and make it polished and presentable. And this isn't just going to cover vocals, it's going to cover everything from the beat, the vocal, the balance, panning, stereo image, EQ, compression, reverb, all that stuff. So, with that being said, let's get started. So, the first thing I like to do is I like to make sure that my levels are good and that my session is organized. So, right now you can see that it's not organized. The sounds are all over, the vocals are down here. I like to make folders first. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the beat from the vocals. Now, you don't have to do this. This is just my process. I like doing this because I just like being organized and I want to see where everything is. So not only once I make the folders, I also put them in order of importance. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the verse vocal, then the hook, then the left part of the hook, then the right. Then we have the pre-hook, which can go after the verse, because I'm going to mix the song left to right pretty much. So this is how I'm going to do it. And then the harmonies are less important than the lead vocals, so those are going to go after. So all this is lead vocals, verse, pre-hook, hook, and then we have doubles, which are pretty much in the same category as harmonies. Okay, so make sure everything is labeled already. All right, I already have my stuff labeled here. In fact, if you purchase the multi tracks, you'll have everything labeled too. But if you don't, if this is your own song that you're working on, make sure you label just for your own uh, workflow. Okay, cool. So that's the vocals. Now I'm gonna make a new folder for the beat. We'll call that one. Okay, let's put that up here. So as you can see, the sounds are all over the place. So I like to start with the most important sounds. Um, this is kind of my own logic, but I like to do the drums first, then the bass, then the instruments. And if I'm when I'm doing the drums, I like to have the kick and the snare right at the top because I feel like those are the most important. So let's go ahead and do that. There's a couple snares in here, actually, four of them. A lot of layering, sometimes that happens. So another reason I like doing this is because I usually send the drums to their own bus so they can be just mixed separately and I can just manipulate them aside from the instruments and not have to do it to the entire beat. And it's just good to have groups and submixes. It even saves CPU doing it like that. I'm gonna get into that later once we get to this. So we got the clap here, the clap, the snare, they all kind of do the same thing, so I'm keeping them together. Then we have hi-hat, toms, reverse clap. I'll put that right after the clap. Move the snap up over here. So as like your songs get more and more complicated, this is going to be really important. This one's not super complicated. Like it's not very simple either, but it's like somewhere in the middle. There's a total of 32 tracks, which isn't too bad. Some like I have songs that have like 80 tracks in them, and with tracks like that, you have to be even more organized. Okay, so phaser hat, that's a different type of hat that I have. Then this is the reverse vocal. We'll put that after the drums. The cymbal, that's the crash. We'll put that here. Percussion, that can go before. So next we have the sub bass, the bass synth. Then we have the main instrument, and then we have an 808 actually. That should be with the basses. Then we have the piano. So the piano, now we're into the instruments. The piano is the main instrument in this song, so it's definitely going to be up front because it's the most important one. Then we have the pad, then we have the flutter lead, and talk lead. I don't know what that is, but we'll find out. All right, cool. So now that we have all that, so the way these multi tracks are arranged is that the vocals are already tuned, they're already in time. You shouldn't be doing that in the mixing stage. Like you shouldn't be tuning vocals and cleaning up breaths and noise and all that stuff in the mixing stage. That should already be done before you get to the mix. That's more part of the production and cleanup process, the editing process. Editing and mixing are not the same thing. Mixing is a much more creative process to make the song sound more professional and ready for consumption by the masses. So all your vocal tuning, vocal timing issues, all that stuff should be fixed before you even get to the mix, because you don't want to be doing that in the mix. And if you want to see how that's done, I suggest you look at the mixing section of my one-man band course. I did cover it there. This is simply a mixing course. So all the multi-tracks, all the vocals are already in tune, and they're already in time. So this is just for practicing mixing. So with that said, next thing you want to do is make sure your BPM is correct. Just play it through, make sure your levels are okay, like it's not too loud. So let's see, we can see where it's peaking.
I can't decide if you're the one. Tell me, am I right? I can't decide if one day. No, you do a lot.
So this is pretty good, like it's gain staged pretty well. So if it isn't, like some of the stuff is obviously a little quiet. So let's listen to the kick and snare.
Everything we got, I do.
So the kick is a bit loud
It's all
with comparison to everything else. So I'm just gonna use this pre-gain knob over here to turn it down.
everything we got, I do.
The first vocal is also very loud.
It's
Bring
all
that
in my
down.
head.
So you don't want to use this is like the final gain before that feeds into the master bus. So you want to use the input trim knob over here to fix your gain staging. So everything, like, you want to make sure that there's ample headroom over here. I would like to say, like, keep it between -12 and -18 if it's a bit quiet. You don't want it too quiet either, because then you're going to bring up a lot of noise once you turn up things and as you start mixing. But I like to leave a lot of room, because as I start adding compressors and as I start adjusting stuff, this is going to start taking up a lot of room. So in this song, we're pretty good, other than a few things, like the balance needs a bit work, but so this is pretty good. We have a lot of room to work with here. So okay, so once that's done, now we're ready to start the mix.